All right, so actually using decimals, we're going to do something besides just add, subtract, multiply, and divide. I say that, but really all we're going to do is add, subtract, multiply, and divide with decimals. We're going to solve equations. And again, I know you guys are probably using your calculators on these. I would encourage you not, just so you kind of get used to, get refreshed on how to do this stuff by hand. So equations, basic, what we were doing at the beginning of the year equations. So what I'd like to do before we jump in is just kind of like recap how you solve an equation. Nothing too stressful. So the basic process for solving any equation is if there's more than one occurrence of the variable, you need to combine those first. If you can, if there's parentheses, which there's not going to be, but if there's any parentheses, you kind of work through those. And anyway, so take a look at your equation, see if there's more than one variable. This first one, there's not. So I'm already kind of starting on step 2 here. I'm going to take this constant that's out front, a 3, and I'm going to subtract it off because it was a positive. If it had been a negative, I would have added it. So that's why it says add or subtract any constants. Depending on whether they're positive or negative, you do the opposite. Okay, so subtracting this guy off. So the 2m stays, and then negative 7 minus 3 is negative 10. Right, just negative 7 minus 3, no big deal there. And then divide out your 2. So your m is negative 5. Now, there were no decimals in that. If there had been decimals in this equation, you would have done the exact same things, just do the operations with decimals. That's why we spent Monday and Tuesday doing those. All right, so the second one over here on the right, I've got an a on the left-hand side and an a on the right-hand side, so I'm going to subtract off the smaller one. So that leaves me with 2 a's instead of 3. Minus 2, just drop that down, equals, drop that down, and then 8 on the right. So now I'm kind of in the same process that I was in the last, or same situation I was in the last one. I've got a 2 here that I need to get rid of, so I'm going to add because it was negative. So when those cancel out, I'm left with 2a equals 10. Divide out your 2, just like we did on the last one. And a is positive 5 this time. Total coincidence. I didn't know that when I picked those equations that the answers were so similar. All right, so keep in mind that process. Combine like terms, move constants, you divide by a coefficient at the end. We're going to do the exact same stuff, but with decimals. All right, so this first one here, it's kind of the last step where you've got your coefficients, the only thing left. So I'm going to divide out this 0.22 or 0.22. Divide out that 0.22. So here's my scratch work out to the side. I'm going to take 1.54 and I'm going to divide out that 0.22. But what we did yesterday, I have to move that decimal point 2 places to the right, move this decimal point 2 places to the right, and slide it up on top. Okay, so 2254, let's see, is that 7? 22 times 7, that's 14, carry the 1. Yep, so that goes in 7 times. I don't expect you guys to know what 22 times 7 is. That's why we have this process of kind of working backwards. All right, so over here, when I divide 1.54 by 0.22, that is just 7. Okay, since that was 154, and when I subtract, I get no remainder, I don't need to keep going like we did. Okay, we're just going to do a couple more of these just to kind of show you how all of this works with decimals. I've got like terms, 0.75, 0.10, so when I add those, that is 0.85x equals 85. So I'm going to divide the 0.85 out and divide it out over here. So my scratch work, I've got the 85 on top, divided by the 0.85 outside, move that 2 places to the right, move this one 2 places to the right. I got to fill in with zeros. So my decimal point winds up way over here. Okay, 85 goes into 85 one time, and there's nothing left to divide, so I'm going to fill in with zeros. So my answer over here is 100. Okay, and if you know how decimals and multiples of 10 work, that should kind of be a no-brainer. 0.85, if I move that 2 places to the right, it's just 85. All right, last one. I've got variables on either side of the equal sign, so I need to combine those. So I'm going to take the small one here, and I'm going to add it to both sides. So 0.03. So that is 0.15 equals 0.3. Whoops, I lost my variable. 0.315 in. So when I divide by 0.15, divide by 0.15. All right, again, my scratch work, I've got 0.3. 0.15 on the outside, 2 places to the right to get that decimal out of there. So 2 places to the right. 15 goes into 30 2 times, even. So n is 2. It's the exact same steps, just with decimals. None of these are going to give you big goofball answers. All right, they're still going to work out to be nice, relatively neat numbers, although there might be a decimal or two in there.